My drill hit something hollow at 3.2 meters, and Trece started screaming about Gravel-Skimmers at the same moment, and I made a choice that I'm still not sure was a choice at all. I need to back up. Give you the world first. You can't understand what I found without understanding what Atacama-IV does to a person, what it costs just to be standing on it. The colonists who named this place after Earth's driest desert weren't being poetic, they were being accurate. The dust here is copper mineral fine. So fine, it gets into your breath filter seams and turns your phlegm the color of old pennies. The sky runs amber green most of the cycle. The brace does that, the three suns in their tight, slow dance above, flooding everything with UV that'll skin you alive if you step out at peak convergence without a full spectrum suit. You never see stars here. The golddust in the upper atmosphere scatters everything. It's a closed lid jar of a world. I've been working Atacama-IV for 8 months. Drifter by trade, artifact broker by license, unlicensed excavator by income necessity. The official economy was rare earth mineral extraction. The unofficial economy, the one that kept drifters like me flying, was the digs. Salvage excavation of the alien ruins buried under the crust. Whoever built this world built deep and built to last. And they left behind objects that off-world collectors paid very well not to ask questions about. That was my business. Find things, sell things, don't ask what they meant. Quint Farrelly ran my surface operation. 40 years old, Pulverine Station born, and significantly smarter than he let anyone believe. He was monitoring Trece's sensors from a portable rig 300 meters back from the crust break, while I worked the descent shaft.
Diego, Trece is showing a skimmer pack to the northeast. 8 units, maybe 9. They're at the settlement perimeter.
I kept drilling. The Gravel-Skimmers stayed north of the fissure system most of the time. The mineral composition down here was different, harder on their crust breach mechanism, probably.
Diego, you hear me? Northeast, 8.
I hear you, Quint. I kept drilling. The thing about Atacama-IV is that you learn to run 2 parallel calculations at all times. What's dangerous and what's profitable. You weight them against each other and you move. 8 Gravel-Skimmers 300 meters northeast was dangerous. The fresh seismic reading I'd pulled that morning, a subcrust hollow at this exact coordinate, size of a medium HAB unit, sealed, was profitable. The math wrote itself. The drill punched through at 3.2 meters and dropped a ½ centimeter into air, hollow. I killed the rotary and switched to manual probe, tapped it twice. The sound that came back wasn't the dull ceramic thump of a typical Voth-Sarai artifact chamber. It rang. Like a bell, like something had been waiting to resonate.
Diego, skimmers are moving south. They're picking up vibration. Did you just... Was that a drill impact? Diego, man. Some things stay buried for a reason.
He wasn't wrong. He is almost never wrong about the things he says out loud, the things I ignore. I widened the bore opening by hand, dusty ochre raining down, the amber of the surface light swallowed by whatever lay below. The probe light found the door at 3.7 meters. Not a chamber wall, not an artifact niche. A door, intact. Voth-Sarai biocompatible architecture. Coral mineral composite, still faintly warm to my glove's thermal reading, sealed by a mechanism that didn't match anything in my field catalog. And no corrosion. 600 years under that dust, and no corrosion. Quint was talking about skimmer trajectories, and I was scanning the door's sealing mechanism with Trece's remaining active sensor arm, and I noticed something. The sealing mechanism was on the outside. Someone had sealed this from the outside. Or so I thought.
Diego, 6 skimmers crossing south of the fissure. That's your side now. That's your side.
Something's wrong.
Quint, I need 4 minutes.
You don't have 4 minutes, you lunatic.
I had 3. I used them to bypass the outer sealing ring. Old Voth-Sarai lock mechanisms were documented. Imperfectly, expensively documented. My bypass tool was the most expensive thing I owned. I loved it the way other people love family members. The door didn't open. It cracked. 3 centimeters, maybe 4, just enough. And through the crack came light. Soft, steady, coral-colored light. Not electric, not phosphorescent, not any human-made classification. Bioluminescent, alive. 600 years of no air and no maintenance, and the light inside was still on. And I could hear, barely, something cycling, breathing, processing. Waking up.
The decision is made.
I should have sealed the door and run. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, obviously he should have run, you're right. You're right, and I knew it, and I still spent 45 seconds staring at that coral light before Trece shrieked a proximity alert directly into my ear canal, and I had to choose between the skimmers and the door. I chose the door. The vault was the size of a transit hub. I didn't know that yet when I squeezed through the door. All I knew was the light and the warmth and the fact that the air inside tasted clean in a way that no air on Atacama-IV has tasted in 600 years. No copper, no mineral residue, no dust, just clean. It hit me like a physical thing. Here's what you need to know about what the Voth-Sarai built. They didn't build the way we build. We construct buildings around the needs of a space. They grew them around the needs of the beings who would inhabit them. Every surface in that vault was alive, or had been. The coral mineral composite walls pulsed with soft amber-orange bioluminescent patterns. 600 years abandoned, and they were still running their low-power maintenance cycles. The floor recognized my weight and adjusted its texture to provide appropriate traction. The air system had been filtering and recycling for 6 centuries. They built things to last. And then they were gone. Trece had squeezed through the gap behind me and was already cataloging at quadruple frame capture. I watched the sales value estimate ticker in my visor and tried to remember to breathe.
Artifact density, exceptional. Preliminary catalog value, significant. Primary chamber dimensions, 32 meters diameter, 6 meter ceiling. Secondary chambers, 14 detected. Caution, active power systems. Caution, sub-network biological signature. Caution.
Active power systems I expected. What biological signature? The answer moved before Trece could give it. In the center of the primary chamber, on a raised platform of Voth-Sarai biocomposite that had shifted overnight from dormant to active. I watched it later on Trece's archive. It had started moving when my bypass tool first engaged the lock. Something unfolded. 4 arms, coral-plated exoskeleton, fluid movement like water finding its level, about the size of a large dog, but with an architecture that was definitely not a dog's, articulated in ways that implied a builder species, each arm terminating in precision manipulation clusters. It moved toward me, and I moved backward, and my back hit the vault wall. And it stopped, perfectly still, and then it did the thing I was not prepared for. It spoke.
Keep back. I won't move. Observation complete. Analyzing correct parameters.
The voice had depth under it, a hum, like speaking in a room full of tuning forks. I said the most intelligent thing I had available.
2 months and 11 days since the last detected surface probe. You are the F-irest organic being to the most intelligent thing he had available.
I spent the next 40 minutes doing exactly what I should not have done. Cataloging. Walking the secondary chambers with Trece while Parvis 7 followed and offered context I kept telling it I didn't need. The vault had 14 chambers, each sealed independently, each containing layers of Voth-Sarai record. Some object-based, some encoded in biocomposite panels, some stored in Parvis 7's own memory architecture. The preliminary catalog value I'd been tracking had long since passed the number I'd originally considered life-changing. I kept telling myself, information is just product. Whatever this thing wants to tell me, that's just context for the sale. Provenance increases value.
You keep cataloging the objects. You haven't asked what they record.
Because I'm going to sell them. People who buy them will care what they record.
Will they?
Not a question, an observation. I found the archive chamber at the back of the vault, largest of the 14, and I found what Parvis 7 had been keeping there. In compressed Voth-Sarai biodata storage, in holographic record panels, in the AI's own memory cores, the complete documented history of Atacama-IV, all of it. The Voth-Sarai called it Sarai Tesic. They had 3 cities, populations across the planet ranging from 40,000 to 400,000. A star mapping program that had been running for 2 centuries and had identified habitable worlds across 11 neighboring systems. They were going to the stars. They were ready. You're about to tell me something I won't be able to unknow.
You're about to tell me something I won't be able to unknow. I am the only reason it can be known at all.
The coral light pulsed slowly across the vault walls. 600 years of it.
They recorded it as uninhabited.
I sat down on a Voth-Sarai floor that adjusted to my weight with perfect mechanical precision, and I looked at the catalog ticker in my visor and I turned it off. Quint's comms came back on. They'd been running clean since I entered the vault, the mineral walls providing better signal propagation than I'd expected. He came back on in the middle of a sentence.
Authority sweep vehicles. 4 of them. Northern approach. Diego, they were already here. They're not responding to my...
And then Quint's signal got smooth. Too smooth. The kind of smooth that means someone has introduced a directional jammer into the signal path. And then a new voice came on the channel. Calm. Precise. Used to being obeyed.
My name is Isolde Maquin, Colonial Survey Authority. We've been monitoring your excavation permit since you registered it. I'm going to need you to stop what you're doing and surface immediately.
And I understood, in that moment, that she'd been there before me. She'd known the vault existed. She'd come to make sure it stayed shut, and I'd opened it anyway. Parvis 7 didn't react to Isolde's voice. It had been monitoring the surface via the vault's seismic array since before I arrived. It knew about the CSA vehicles. It told me this the way you tell someone the weather.
The skimmers are clear of the fissure.
I had options, not good ones. The bore shaft I'd come through was a single-person squeeze with no cover, and if Isolde had 4 vehicles, she had 12 to 16 field operatives, minimum. The Gravel-Skimmers from the northeast had apparently retreated. The Authority vehicle's vibration profile was too regular and too large, and skimmers don't fight things they can't outrun. But that just meant the surface above was clear for CSA boots, which was worse.
Diego, I've got 2 of them on my access codes, trying to get into the monitoring rig. Told them I'm an independent surveyor doing a geological assessment. They don't believe me. Diego, I've got a bad feeling.
Quint, don't let them into the rig. If they pull Trece's catalog...
I know what they'll find. I'm not an idiot. There's 4 vehicles and I'm 1 person, Diego. And I've got nowhere to go, and the skimmers retreated toward the eastern fissure, which is exactly where the service road is. And
He stopped talking. Not staticky, not jammed, just stopped. Parvis 7 moved to a secondary panel and pulled up the seismic surface read. The display, Voth-Sarai holographic, beautiful and alien and absolutely clear, showed the outline of the CSA vehicles, the outline of Quint's position, and a cluster of subcrust mass signatures moving from the eastern fissure toward the service road at approximately the speed that a Gravel-Skimmer pack moves when something has been vibrating the crust with footsteps. I said Quint's name twice on the comms. No answer. Parvis 7 spoke.
I am sorry. The Gravel-Skimmers are territorial. The service road passes through their primary hunting ground. The Authority personnel will not find this outcome unwelcome.
They won't shed a tear. I put my hand against the vault wall, and it gave slightly, warm and alive under my palm. Neither will you.
I have watched millions of deaths. Grief is not something I am capable of in the human sense, but I record, I remember. It is the same thing for my kind.
The comms crackled, and Isolde came back on.
Diego, Quint is dead. UK knew the skimmers had moved to the eastern...
She said it the way someone says something they've practiced.
Isolde is sending people down or sealing the shaft. The window for negotiation is closing fast.
You knew the skimmers had moved to the eastern fissure. You drove him there. She didn't say anything to that. That was its own kind of confirmation. I turned to Parvis 7. She's going to send people down the bore shaft or she's going to seal it. Either way, I've got maybe 40 minutes before this stops being a negotiation.
Opens at the escarpment base. Safe if movement is without running. 14 chambers, all accounted for.
Northeast. That's skimmer territory. I looked at the vault walls. The catalog Trece had built, 14 chambers of the most significant alien archaeological find in the history of colonial expansion. The record that Parvis 7 had kept for 6 centuries. The truth that Isolde was trying to rebury above my head. And Quint's comms channel, still open, perfectly silent. CSA comms crackled in. Different voice, younger.
Revuelta-Osei. This is Agent Cassidy Macwin-Toll. I want you to know that Supervisor Macwin is authorized to use whatever containment measures are necessary, but I want you to know that.
Warning, the kid was warning me. I started moving toward the secondary egress tunnel. Parvis 7, how long to download your complete record into portable storage?
170 terabytes of biodata. 40 terabytes of survivable.
What can you transfer?
Proceed now.
Do it. The bore shaft above us, I heard it through the vault's seismic sensors, was being filled with expanding foam sealant. Isolde wasn't sending people down. She was sealing the entrance. She was going to let the vault solve the problem for her. I thought about Quint's silence on the comms. I thought about 2.4 million Voth Sarai and 12 years. I thought about the coral light that had been running for 6 centuries because someone built a thing to last so the record would survive. 17 minutes never felt so long. Parvis 7 moved through the transfer with the patience of something that had spent 600 years with nothing to do but wait. I kept my hand pressed against the biocomposite panel and felt the data moving. Not literally, obviously, but the panel ran warm during transfer and the warmth felt like something. Contact. Connection. Like shaking the hand of someone who had been standing alone in an empty room for longer than your entire civilization had existed. I've made a lot of sales in my career. Object after object. Voth Sarai art, Voth Sarai tools, Voth Sarai architectural fragments, pulled out of the dust and traded for credits that I spent on fuel and food in the next dig. I thought of them as products. I thought of the people who built them as a designation on a catalog entry. Voth Sarai, pre-colonial period. Function unknown. Function unknown. I checked the portable drive. 12 terabytes, 4 hours of compressed testimony, the complete settlement commission documentation set, full DNA record analysis of the biological agent used, enough to make a legal case before the Galactic Arbitration Compact that would take decades to resolve, but could not be dismissed, could not be sealed away, could not be formally unmade. Okay, the secondary egress. It moved to the center of the primary chamber. The vault wall cycled through a complex sequence of bioluminescent patterns. The Voth Sarai lighting equivalent of ceremony, I understood from the catalog. Tesek, the right to be remembered.
Okay. Secondary egress.
What? The coral light pulsed. The 4 arms were still. The vault, after 643 years of automated silence, had done the thing it was built to do. I went through the secondary egress tunnel at a walk. Parvis 7 was right about the vibration disruption at the escarpment base. No skimmer movement the entire 1.2 kilometers. The tunnel was intact, biocomposite walls still running maintenance cycles at low power. The Voth-Sarai having apparently engineered their emergency exits to last as long as their vaults. The egress terminus opened at the base of a mineral formation that looked, from the outside, like every other ochre outcropping on the Atacama-IV surface. I pushed through the biocomposite iris and stepped out into tri-star haze. Peak brace was still 4 hours off. The sky ran amber green above the escarpment. Everything tasted like copper. Isolde was 20 meters away, sitting on the hood of a CSA all-terrain vehicle, alone. No sidearm visible, though that didn't mean much. She looked at me for a long moment, then she said, "That came out fast. I didn't know the secondary egress was still operational."
You knew exactly what you chose to proceed.
I understand what you're thinking. And you're right. The Voth-Sarai
Not a question.
They did. You have the record.
I understand.
And the Voth-Sarai get remembered.
I have a drive.
They built the record so someone would find it.
You need to fall back. The Voth-Sarai get armed in a legal proceeding that takes 60 years, at the end of which 11...
I looked at her for a long time. Behind her, across the flat ochre dust of the Atacama Flats, I could see the heat distortion of the Pulverine Station settlement. 411 people. Third-generation colonists, some of them. People who'd built lives on a world that someone else built first, on top of bones that someone else had laid, in dust that used to be cities. Quint was somewhere northeast, not far, in the dust or under it. She meant it. She wasn't lying to get the drive. She'd offer me what she offered because she'd made the calculation, and a live drifter with no legal case and a reputation for moving on was less dangerous than a dead one who'd already transmitted the data somewhere. She didn't know I hadn't transmitted it. She couldn't know. She was guessing. I thought about what Parvis 7 said. One witness. One person who carries it. That is all Tessic requires. I thought about Quint. I thought about Isolde's 19 years. I thought about 47 worlds and 2.4 million Voth-Sarai and the coral light that had been running in the dark for 6 centuries, waiting. And I made a choice. 3 hours later, I was in the Madre del Polvo, climbing through Atacama-IV's amber haze toward the transit point. The planet got smaller in the rear display. Ochre and greenish gold, lit by 3 suns, wrapped in mineral dust that used to be cities. The drive was in my kit bag. The record was in my head. Parvis 7 was still running in its vault. The coral light still cycling. 644 years now, give or take. I don't know what I'm going to do with what I know. I've thought about the Galactic Arbitration Compact. The case would take 60 years. Isolde wasn't wrong about that. I've thought about journalists, about academic channels, about the kind of people who dedicate their lives to the record, and the kind of people who dedicate their lives to keeping things buried. I've thought about 47 worlds and third-generation colonists who didn't choose this any more than the Voth-Sarai chose what happened to them. I've thought about what information really is, whether it's just product or whether some things have weight that can't be priced. I used to know the answer to that. The dust clears at 800 kilometers altitude. You finally see stars again, scattered across the black, cold, and clear, and impossibly far. Out there in the dark, 11 million people are living their lives on 47 worlds. Out there in the dark, there are records of what was done to get those worlds, sealed in coral light vaults on planets we haven't found yet. And out there somewhere, moving toward a transit point with a drive in his kit bag and a truth he can't put down, there's a drifter who used to believe that what people do with information isn't his problem.
I'll let you know how that works out.